And we are live. Welcome to the Tips from the Top with the top experts from the industry. Hi guys, welcome to all the Australian Property Group members. The reason I have decided to start up this segment is purely to help you guys. I wanted to be able to interview as many people as I can to bring you top industry information, and mainly because recently I've had a really run-in myself and a little bit of a hiccup in the road with finance. Now, I know it is a little bit of a question on everybody's lips. Oh, hang on. I'm just going to shut. 1 second. There we go. I'm back. Sorry, we just had a bit of a malfunction with... Hang on, guys, sorry. Okay, there we go. I had to get rid of myself on another window that was playing the replay back to me of what I was saying to you. So that's all very complicated, but we're back. The reason I decided to do these 10-minute tips from the top, you wouldn't want to say that too quickly too many times, is because I had a run-in with finance myself. I got to the 11th hour. Everything was going fine. It was a very quick process. I got pre-approved with finance, and at the 11th hour on the Friday, I had a little bit of a delay and I was wondering what was going on, and then I found out over that weekend that APRA decided to change the ball game and change the rules on me. So instead of taking another couple of days to get the full approval on finance, I ended up in a situation, it was awful, that it took another 4 weeks only to be told, no, you can't have full approval at 90% as originally planned. So I found myself in a situation where I was only able to access 80% LVR, which loan to value ratio, meant that I had to come up with 20% deposit, which completely threw my original strategy out of the window. So knowing that other people are going through the same situation as me, what I wanted to do was introduce an expert. I have on this section tonight, Isa Kanja. Now, Isa is not only my property mentor, has taught me everything I know about creative strategies and how to get into property with little or no money, but she also has a finance background and is actually a finance broker. So without further ado, welcome Isa. Thank you very much for giving up your time to speak to all the Australian Property Group members.
Thanks for having me, Em. It's good to see you again.
You too, you too. Sorry about the technical difficulty before. I just couldn't keep going when I'm hearing myself talking to me at the same time. It's all very weird. But can you just give us a little bit of a background briefly, obviously, because it is a quick section, and I know that you do full webinars, but you've very graciously given up your time to do a private little chat with the Facebook group members tonight. So what is going on out there? What is this problem with APRA? Where does it come from?
Well, where it's coming from is because the property market in general, mainly in Sydney, has heated up quite significantly. And where investment levels used to be, overall purchases used to be around about 30%, we're now seeing that 60% of the market is owned or purchased by investors, which is not necessarily a bad thing. However, in places like Sydney, it has made affordability very, very difficult. So what APRA has put into place, basically, they are trying to find, because interest rates are still very low, and they're not necessarily going to increase significantly in the short to medium term, or the short term rather. So APRA is trying to find other ways to kind of push down or push back against the aggression that is happening in the market, so that we can bring some affordability back into the market. And also to really strengthen and make the lending criteria even stricter. Now, I would say that they're doing this off what occurred previously during the GFC, but a lot of the feelings going on is probably more GFC-like at the moment. With regards to the mortgage industry, not the economy so much, but with regards to the mortgage industry.
Okay, I know that there's a ton of people having issues at the moment getting lending, and especially getting anything above the 80% LVR mark. And I know in my case, that 80% LVR that I have been approved for came out of nowhere, because I had this like fortunate situation for the first time probably since you've known me, I had a really good borrowing capacity, and you know, and I'd worked up to that, and I'd geared and structured my portfolio around that, and then all of a sudden, not only am I not able to borrow as much, but I'm looking down the barrel of having to make it a principal place of residence loan as opposed to an interest loan, as opposed to an investor loan. And it's just, you know, I've had to sort of jump through all sorts of hoops, and I know that I'm not the only person. So what does it mean to people out there? What have they got to expect is to come?
Okay. Well, the best way for me to answer that would probably be to tell you what the changes are specifically, just very, very quickly, or some of the highlights of the changes. The first is that not all lenders now will allow you interest-only loans, as you mentioned. You now have to pay principal and interest. So what that does for a person's borrowing capacity is where they once maybe were able to invest $1 million, and when I say once, a couple of months ago, they were able to invest $1 million, and now probably only being able to afford $700,000, $800,000. So there's a big difference. The second thing that is occurring is that the assessment rate by which the banks assess you at, so I mean to say they check your affordability, has increased quite significantly. Now normally what they would add on would be, if our interest rates were 4%, they would add on anywhere from 1 to 1.5%. Now they're saying it just to cater for the fact that, well, what if rates go up? Can this person afford it if rates go up? Now they're saying straight out assess loans at 7%. It doesn't matter what interest rate is. So 7% on average is around about, is close to 3% higher where our interest rates are now. That's taking into account something like 12 interest rate rises on average. That's, you know,
wow.
a huge amount. And they're also taking into account, or banks are taking into account, less of the rental income that you might receive from your investment properties. So what this does is it really restricts and pushes down on your borrowing capacity. That's one thing. And then it restricts the amount that you can borrow. That's the other. So your capacity to repay is a lot less, but also the amount, so even if you can afford more, but the limit by which that they lend you against, or the limit they lend you per property is a lot less now too. So for a $500,000 property, for a lot of lenders, that means you need 20%, as you mentioned, which is $100,000, plus you need costs. That's $130,000. You know, $130,000 just to buy one property at $500,000. That's, you know, that's a lot of money. Not everyone has that kind of money. Whereas if you use some smart strategies, $130,000, you could be buying over $1 million worth of property there, or if not more. You know, so yeah, to answer your question, what that means to people is, yes, they're going to be able to borrow less with regards to amounts, but also affordability. Their affordability is going to be a lot less to what they can do. But this is probably now more than ever a time to apply some really creative strategies so that you can continue to invest in the market. Because remember, APRA are doing this to reduce investment in the market, and they're trying to slow down the market. When that happens, that is when opportunity presents its head. That's when opportunity comes into the market. But it also means that not many people can afford it anymore unless you have the right tools. If you've got the right strategies, then you'll be one of those people that can pick up those opportunities and probably make a killing in this time. It's almost exactly like what happened just after the GFC.
Absolutely. I'm so sorry too, by the way, screens keep flicking back and forth. It's because I'm in a hotel at the moment. Long story, no internet at home, trying to get that back on. But at the moment I'm in a hotel, so I've got background noise, which keeps flicking the screen, so I do apologise. You mentioned creative strategies, and I know, God, in any climate, creative strategies can be effective in continuing your portfolio growth. If I've learned anything, I've learned that from you. I know you do cover a lot of things, and you will be covering some stuff in your Property Club webinars next week. But if anybody on this particular webinar wants to get some more information or find out how they can get around this? Because I know that there are answers. After speaking to you the other night on your other webinar, there are answers. Could you just briefly give us a couple of solutions? Obviously, there's all the negative around it, and most people would run for shelter and see the adversity in the situation rather than seeing it as an opportunity. Why do you see it as an opportunity? And what can we do?
Yeah, I see it as an opportunity because whenever markets contract, developers and vendors start to get desperate, and they become more open to different deals. They become more open to negotiations because once the market starts to contract and pull away. Particularly if you're looking at vendors and developers that have perhaps overcapitalized themselves because the market was so hot just a few months ago. Yeah. So there's definitely deals to be picked up. Now, for me to tell you the actual strategies, we would be here for quite some time. So I can give you just an overview of what those strategies are, and for anyone that's interested, you might want to tell them how they can get a hold of more information.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in general, what's happening right now is lending is becoming more restrictive. So one of the ways that you can do deals is through joint ventures, which will extend your capacity. That is one way. But the way you do the joint venture, the way you structure it, has to be very, very specific for it to be effective for you in this market. The second way to do things is by working with vendors who actually cover deposits and the gap for you. Now, this is not necessarily vendor finance. We're not saying that the vendor is actually going to be paid back. There are strategies that I call gift equity that allow you to work with a vendor where the vendor actually pays deposits on your behalf. Now, there are specifics, once again, on how to do that, but if you can create these kind of deals, which this is becoming the market for, or rather it will become the market for, these are strategies that will mean while everyone else is fleeing the market, you're able to get in and secure those hot deals. As Warren Buffett says, when everyone else is fearful, you be aggressive. When everyone else is aggressive, you should be fearful.
Oh, 100%, and hearing what you're saying, I've actually already started implementing that particular gift equity strategy with the deal that ended up falling over because I wasn't able to get 90%. I actually had a joint venture partner on that deal at 10%. Now, obviously, she's got no more cash and I can't get any more lending, so it's no deal. But I know that the vendor actually had already gone on to purchase something else and needs to settle on something else herself. So what I've actually gone back to the agent and said is, listen, if she is prepared, because I know there's equity in the property, if she is prepared to leave in an additional 10%, we can still go ahead with this deal. Or better still, if she's prepared to leave in 20% and we provide 80%, I'm happy to pay a little bit of a higher purchase price because at the end of the day, I don't have to put any money in. It's bank money. And I know that at the end of the day, when all's said and done, it'll still be positive cash flow, positive gear. So, that's been a beautiful strategy as a solution. But yeah, it's funny because more and more and more people are becoming more open to strategies because the houses just aren't moving. And it's funny because my boyfriend, Azza, but his property up in Yarrawonga has been sitting on the market for quite some time. Now, we've actually just I put it on 24 hours ago on Yarrawonga Buy, Swap and Sell. And I've said, this is the purchase price. The seller is providing the deposit. Stop paying rent. We will pay your deposit for you. And I have had 20 people coming to us wanting to buy the property.
Yeah,
so
that's incredible.
Yeah. So, there's a lot to be said for creative strategies, but also too from a finance angle, because you have that strong background in finance, you are I have to say you are excellent at being able to explain the nuts and bolts around why the creative strategies work and how you can still make the most of draining and squeezing every last bit and ounce out of your finance situation as it currently stands. So, I just want to thank you for giving us a little bit of insight, but also too, If anyone does want a little bit more information from you, Isa, you are actually on tour at the moment, I believe, and you're coming to Melbourne. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I am. I'm coming to Melbourne in the next couple of weeks, I think. And it won't even be a little bit of information. It'll be a lot of information that I give that'll match this climate right now.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that from experience, all of your free events are so incredibly content rich. It's unbelievable. But, you know, if anyone is available in Melbourne or Sydney or whatever state you're in actually watching, personal mail me, like inbox me, and I can send a link, and you can take yourself along to find out a little bit more from Isa, because obviously you do your webinars for the Property Club people, but for anybody else, you know, that might want to find out a bit more, I'm sure there's people that would like to, you know, maximise what you have to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd love to see you guys there.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you could possibly just in 1 minute just give as a piece of advice moving forward, what somebody can implement right now, perhaps?
One thing that it's not so much implement, though I will answer that too. I do want to say that this is probably a window of opportunity that we only see perhaps every, I don't know, 20 years or so. Maybe every 10 years. We saw it briefly similar after the GFC, where a lot of deals came onto the market, but not many people were ready and not many people knew how to adjust to that climate, because we'd never seen anything like that before. This time around, if you're more prepared, you will see those bargains come up. And it's not just about the bargain, it's the opportunity and the fact that people are going to be open to some creative strategies. They will be flooding into the market in the medium term because of these changes that APRA have put in place. So this is the time now more than ever where you can get in and start taking advantage of it. And the great thing is you won't be reliant on what your borrowing capacity is in strategy.
Yeah, and that's, you know what, that's what I love about it, because it's, for me, I get such a buzz out of creating win-win scenarios for people. You know, perhaps people don't really want to sell, but they have to sell, or, you know, they find themselves in crisis situations, and you can actually go in as the investor and help them, and it's a win for you, it's a win for the agent, it's a win for the vendor. So I love that so much about the strategies that you teach.
And it's at the end of the day, you know, it's a difference of you saving your hard-earned money and, like I said, using $130,000 in cash, which will start to become the norm, to buy a $500,000 place, or using $130,000 to get up to $2 million worth of property, or using $130,000 but not really using not spending any of that, and being able to build up to a multi-million-dollar property portfolio. That's what this market may start to offer you if you have the right tools for it.
That's so exciting. Yay. I'm excited. I'm chuffed. I might even bring myself along, because I think I need a refresher. To get, you know, it's funny because, you know, what a JOB does to your head is unbelievable. You stop thinking creatively, and ever since I've not been in my JOB and working from home full time, the brain's on overdrive with creative strategies just flying at me. So yeah,
I love to see you there. So there you go.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much. As I said, it's 10-minute tips from the top, so we're going to keep it short and sweet, just so that people have, you know, can get a bit of information, but they don't have to sit here all night. So I want to thank you again, and you too have to get back to your newborn little bubby.
Yeah. Thanks, Ems.
No worries. I will speak to you really soon, and I look forward to seeing you when you're in Melbourne.
I look forward to it too. See you later.
Cheers. Bye.